Today, we'll explore two terrifying cave exploration stories that ended in unimaginable tragedy. A skilled rescue expert makes one fatal decision that costs him everything, and 12 young soccer players with their coach are trapped in a flooded cave in Thailand, where the whole world watched their rescue. Please be warned. These stories contain disturbing content about real tragedies that claim the lives of experienced cave explorers. When experienced cave explorers head out for what should be a routine mapping expedition, the last thing on their minds is that one of them won't make it home alive. This is the heartbreaking story of what happened in the dangerous cave systems of the French Pyrenees. Robert Martinez and his expedition leader had been exploring challenging cave systems across Europe since the end of World War II. Cave exploration was becoming incredibly popular during this time, with adventurers pushing deeper into uncharted underground territories than ever before. The cave system they chose to explore was known as one of the most dangerous in the French Pyrenees. From the outside, it appeared as a dark opening in the mountainside. But beneath the surface lay a complex network of vertical shafts and narrow passages that had claimed lives before. The entrance led into a series of winding tunnels that gradually descended deeper into the mountain. After navigating through cramped horizontal passages for several hundred feet, explorers would encounter massive vertical drops, some plunging over 200 feet straight down into complete darkness. Robert had become an exceptional cave explorer over many years of dangerous expeditions. He had spent nearly a decade perfecting his techniques and had explored some of the most challenging cave systems across Europe. His fellow explorers described him as methodical, well-prepared, safety-conscious, and highly skilled. As an experienced member of the exploration team, Robert had successfully completed dozens of dangerous descents into vertical cave systems. His expertise in rope work and climbing techniques made him invaluable to mapping expeditions in unexplored territories. On a warm August day in 1952, Robert made plans to descend one of the cave's deepest vertical shafts to map previously unexplored sections. He was using a makeshift winch system designed specifically for the challenging vertical terrain, with enough equipment to safely complete a several-hour exploration. His expedition partner decided to remain at the top of the shaft to operate the winch system and maintain communication through the established rope signals they had developed over years of working together. The team had worked out a reliable communication system using rope pulls and specific timing intervals. The surface operator would pull the rope in a specific pattern to check if everything was proceeding safely. Robert would respond with his own pattern to signal that conditions were normal and the exploration was continuing as planned. The descent had been proceeding smoothly for nearly an hour when Robert reached the halfway point of the massive vertical shaft. He was suspended approximately 40 meters above the cave floor, methodically documenting the rock formations and potential passages for future exploration. The winch system had been functioning perfectly, with steady mechanical sounds echoing through the cavern as it supported Robert's weight against the unforgiving rock walls. The atmosphere was tense but controlled, with every piece of equipment performing exactly as designed. Then, without warning, a sharp snapping sound pierced the underground silence. The climbing rope had catastrophically failed under the stress of the vertical descent. In an instant, Robert plummeted 80 meters through the pitch-black void. His body crashed repeatedly against the jagged limestone walls during the terrifying fall before landing with devastating impact on the cave floor below. The sound of the accident echoed through the cavern system, leaving his partner above in complete shock at what had just occurred. This particular cave system was part of an ancient limestone formation that had been carved by underground water flows over millions of years. The vertical shafts were created by water erosion, leaving smooth but treacherous walls that offered no handholds for emergency climbing. The cave maintained a constant temperature just above freezing throughout the year, and the air circulation was minimal in the deeper sections. These conditions meant that any injured person would face hypothermia within hours, even during the warmest summer months. The limestone walls were wet with condensation, making any rescue attempt extremely slippery and dangerous. The vertical nature of the shafts meant that specialized equipment would be required for any rescue operation, and the nearest professional rescue teams were hours away from this remote mountain location. When Robert's partner realized what had happened, he immediately began shouting down the shaft to assess the situation. Robert's weak responses confirmed that he was still alive, but severely injured from the devastating fall. The partner had to make the difficult decision to leave Robert alone in the cave, while he traveled to the nearest town to summon professional rescue assistance. This meant a dangerous hike through mountain terrain that would take several hours to complete. Meanwhile, Robert lay at the bottom of the shaft with multiple broken bones, severe spinal injuries, and a fractured skull. The cold cave environment was slowly sapping his strength, and he was beginning to show signs of serious internal bleeding from the traumatic impact. Within 6 hours, a team of professional mountain rescue specialists arrived at the cave entrance with specialized equipment designed for vertical cave rescues. They immediately assessed the challenging nature of the rescue operation. The rescue team lowered medical supplies and emergency equipment down the shaft to provide immediate aid to Robert. However, the severity of his spinal injuries meant that any movement could potentially paralyze or kill him, making the rescue incredibly delicate. Communication between the surface rescue coordination team and the injured explorer was extremely difficult due to the acoustic properties of the deep shaft. Voice signals were distorted and unclear, making it nearly impossible to coordinate complex rescue maneuvers. The rescuers attempted to construct a sophisticated pulley system that could safely lift Robert's injured body up the 80-meter vertical shaft without causing additional trauma to his spine. However, the improvised equipment repeatedly failed under the awkward angles and substantial weight involved. After more than 12 hours of continuous rescue attempts, it became painfully obvious that Robert's injuries were beyond what could be treated in the cave environment. His responses to the rescue team had become increasingly weak and incoherent. The combination of severe trauma, internal bleeding, hypothermia, and shock was slowly overwhelming his body's ability to survive. Despite the heroic efforts of the professional rescue team, the harsh reality was becoming undeniable. Medical experts who had been consulted by radio confirmed that even if Robert could be successfully extracted from the cave, his injuries were likely fatal. The extended time in the cold, damp environment had significantly reduced any chances of survival. As Robert's condition continued to deteriorate over the following day, the rescue team maintained their efforts but knew they were fighting an impossible battle. His vital signs were failing, and communication had become nearly impossible. After enduring nearly 48 hours of unimaginable pain and suffering in the cold, dark cave, Robert Martinez finally succumbed to his massive injuries. His fellow explorers and the rescue team were devastated by the loss of such an experienced and respected member of the caving community. The decision was made to leave Robert's body in the cave due to the extreme danger and technical difficulty of recovery operations. The cave was later sealed as a memorial to prevent future tragedies in the same location. Robert's tragic death sent shockwaves throughout the European cave exploration community and forced a complete reevaluation of safety protocols for vertical cave systems. Equipment standards were dramatically improved, and new training requirements were established. The accident led to the development of redundant safety systems for rope-based cave exploration, including backup lines and improved anchor point construction. Professional rescue teams also developed specialized equipment specifically designed for deep cave emergencies. Robert Martinez's name became permanently associated with cave exploration safety. and his story continues to be taught to new generations of cavers as a reminder of the deadly serious nature of underground exploration. Now let's move to our second story. The soccer team's adventure. On a warm June day in 2018, 12 young soccer players and their coach decided to explore a cave after their regular practice. The boys, aged between 11 and 16 years old, were excited to see the famous Tham Luang cave in northern Thailand. This cave was well known for its long tunnels and narrow passages that went deep into the mountain. Their coach thought it would be a fun adventure after their hard practice session. The team had been training together for months, building not just their soccer skills, but also deep friendships. Some of the boys had even carved their initials near the cave entrance on previous visits. The cave was like a secret clubhouse to them, a place where they felt adventurous and brave. The entrance looked safe and inviting on that sunny afternoon. None of them knew that the weather was about to change dramatically. When everything went wrong, soon after the team entered the cave, heavy monsoon rains began to fall. The rain poured down harder and harder, and within just a few hours, water started flooding into the cave entrance. The rushing water completely blocked their way out, trapping all 13 people deep inside the mountain. What started as a simple after-practice trip quickly became a life-threatening emergency. The floodwater kept rising, forcing the group to move deeper and deeper into the cave to stay above the water level. The boys held hands in the darkness, forming a human chain so no one would get lost. Their coach kept them calm by leading them in meditation and positive thinking, teaching them to conserve their energy and stay mentally strong. As they went further in, the air became thicker and harder to breathe. The temperature dropped, and their wet clothes made them shiver constantly in the cold underground air. The world watches and worries. When the team didn't come home that evening, their families became very worried and called for help. The local authorities began searching, but they had no idea exactly where the group was inside the huge cave system. The cave had many different tunnels and chambers, and it wasn't clear how far the boys had gone. Outside the cave, a makeshift camp began to form. Parents arrived with photographs of their children, clutching them tightly as they waited for news. Some mothers couldn't eat or sleep, keeping vigil day and night. The smell of incense filled the air as Buddhist monks arrived to pray and offer spiritual support to the devastated families. As hours turned into days, news of the missing soccer team spread around the world. People in many countries began following the story on television and the internet. Social media exploded with messages of hope and support. Celebrities, politicians, and ordinary people from every continent sent prayers and encouragement. Everyone hoped and prayed that the boys would be found alive. But with each passing day, the chances seemed to grow smaller. The amazing rescue team. The Thai government knew they needed expert help for such a difficult rescue. Soon, professional divers, engineers, and rescue workers from many countries came to help. Teams arrived from the United States, China, Australia, and the United Kingdom, all bringing special skills and equipment. The rescue operation became a massive international effort. Engineers worked around the clock to pump water out of the cave, moving millions of gallons every hour. Farmers nearby allowed their rice fields to be flooded so the water from the cave had somewhere to go. Local villagers cooked food for the rescue workers, bringing hot meals at all hours. It was a beautiful example of a community coming together in crisis. The Thai Navy SEALs worked alongside these international experts in what became one of the biggest and most complicated rescue operations ever attempted. But the cave's geography made their job extremely difficult. The tunnels were narrow and completely filled with murky floodwater, and the air quality inside was getting dangerously low. Oxygen levels were dropping to dangerous levels, creating a race against time. The search inside. For 9 agonizing days, divers searched the flooded tunnels without finding any sign of the team. Many people began to lose hope. The diving conditions were so dangerous that several rescue workers had to turn back, their air supplies running low and their nerves frayed from the claustrophobic darkness. Then, on the 9th day, 2 British divers named John Valanthan and Rick Stanton made an incredible discovery. Swimming through muddy water in complete darkness, guided only by a thin rope, they surfaced in a chamber deep inside the mountain. When they shined their flashlights around, they couldn't believe what they saw. All 13 members of the team were alive, huddled together on a small, muddy slope above the water. The moment was captured on video that would soon circle the globe. The boys' voices, weak but hopeful, asking, "What day is it?" became one of the most emotional moments in rescue history. They had survived 9 days with almost no food, drinking water that dripped from the cave walls. Their coach had taught them to stay still to conserve energy, and they had supported each other through the terrifying darkness. Dangerous work underground. The rescue divers had to swim through tight, water-filled passages where they could barely fit. Many of these underwater tunnels were so narrow that only one person could pass through at a time. Some sections required divers to remove their air tanks and push them ahead, squeezing through gaps barely wider than their shoulders. The work was not just difficult, it was deadly dangerous. The water was so murky that visibility was almost zero. Divers described it as swimming through coffee, where they couldn't see their own hands in front of their faces. They had to feel their way along the guideline, navigating by touch alone through twisting passages that could easily trap or disorient them. The rescue team faced a terrible tragedy when Saman Kunan, a former Thai Navy SEAL, died while bringing supplies to the trapped team. His death was a huge shock to everyone involved and reminded them all of the serious risks they were taking. Despite their sadness and fear, the rescue workers continued their dangerous work. They knew that Saman would have wanted them to finish the mission and bring those boys home. After many days of planning, the rescue team came up with a bold plan. They would give the boys special medicine to make them calm and sleepy. Then expert divers would carry them one by one through the flooded tunnels to safety. This plan was very risky because if anything went wrong, the children could die. Some doctors and ethics experts around the world questioned whether this was the right approach. The debate raged in newsrooms and online forums. Was it too dangerous? Were there better options? But the rescue team knew that time was running out. More rain was forecast, and if the cave flooded further, everyone inside would drown. Getting each boy out required perfect teamwork. The children had to trust the divers completely as they were carried through dark, water-filled passages while unconscious. Each rescue took several hours, with multiple divers working in relay teams to pass each child from one flooded section to the next. It was scary for everyone involved, but there was no other choice. 18 days of hope. Finally, after 18 long, worrying days, all 12 boys and their coach were safely brought out of the cave. The rescue took 3 days to complete, with the strongest boys coming out first and the weakest saved for last, when the rescue team had perfected their technique. When the last person emerged, people all around the world celebrated. There were tears of joy, cheering in the streets, and a feeling of relief that spread across the globe. The rescue was successful because of the incredible bravery and skill of the rescue teams, and also because of some good luck. Weather conditions held just long enough, and every calculated risk paid off. It showed what humans can achieve when they work together for a common goal. Even though the boys made it out alive, their experience had lasting effects. Many of them suffered from trauma and needed counseling to deal with what they had been through. Being trapped underground for more than 2 weeks in a life-threatening situation was something that would stay with them forever. Some had nightmares about darkness and enclosed spaces. Others found it difficult to talk about what happened. The coach faced criticism from some people who thought he shouldn't have taken the boys into the cave, but others believed he was just as much a victim of the unexpected flooding as the children were. Many credited him with keeping the boys alive through his calm leadership and spiritual guidance during those terrifying days underground. If you found these stories educational and want to learn more about cave exploration safety and the lessons taught by real tragedies, please subscribe to our channel and share this content to help spread awareness about the serious nature of underground exploration.